Let's bring in Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor, and the author of Trump's America. He joins us from he joins us live. There he is in front of our nation's capital. And you know, Newt, this has been a very emotional week for a lot of people down in Washington, remembering the life and times of George Herbert Walker Bush, as he is laid to rest later today. What are your observations about him?
Well, I think, first of all, he has genuine friends over a lifetime of activity. The Bushes are only the second family in American history to have both a father and a son as president, the Adams being the other. His sons have been governor of 2 states. I mean, if you look at it, the impact of President Bush and his family has been truly historic. He also served the country for a very long time. The youngest naval pilot in World War II, flew 58 combat missions as the youngest pilot in the Navy, and was in fact at one point shot down and went right back up and kept flying. Then he went on to become a congressman, and then he went on to be the head of the CIA, the ambassador to, or representative, they weren't ambassador yet, to China. Really one of the people who opened up our relationship with China. Ended up Republican National Committee chairman, vice president under Reagan, and then president. I mean, it's a remarkable life of public service, and almost everywhere people ended up liking him and feeling that this was a good man, he was a decent man, and that he really wanted to do the best he could for his country, and he did so while having a very loving and very strong family.
We're showing some video of you from 1991 with him, and then also 1992 you were standing behind him when he was speaking at the podium. Any stories you want to share with us?
Well, I always felt that he was somebody that you could talk to very directly, and I thought that he was torn in his re-election campaign. He really loved being president. He didn't really love being candidate. And I remember one time going down for lunch with him in the spring and begging him to bring Jim Baker back, because I thought that President Bush was so important to the country. And I think, frankly, had he been reelected and had we been spared the Clintons, we would have been a lot better off. But he was just so focused on all the different things happening in foreign policy, where he played such a major role in getting the Soviet Union to collapse without a war and to make the transition into the modern period. And I think he found it very hard to sort of go back and be a candidate again. That wasn't something he particularly liked doing.
Yeah, I don't know how you feel about it, but Michael Goodwin writes, essentially, all these great qualities have always been out there, but the press never gave him a fair shake and they basically like Republicans when they're dead.
Look, there's no question about it. The liberal media despised Ronald Reagan until he had passed away, at which point they found many wonderful things. They attacked President George H.W. Bush relentlessly. They hated his 1988 winning campaign when they thought Dukakis should win. And now, of course, they're praising him. And let's not kid ourselves. At least 30% of the great affection that we're seeing in the Washington establishment is in contrast with President Trump. I mean, these are people who see this as an occasion to say, oh, those were the good old days. Well, the truth is this is a different era doing different things. I thought that the Trumps and the Bushes got along very well this week, and that it was a very nice coming together of people who had tension, but at this moment, for the passing of the president, found a way to make the event and the president bigger than their personal attitudes.
And I read John Meacham's book. It says Newt Gingrich tried to convince President Bush not to raise taxes, that it would kill his re-election chances. So you were the canary in the coal mine there.
We know how they turned out.
Look, I do think, had he said no to the Democrats and gone to the country and said, if you vote Democrat in the fall campaign, I'll sign a tax bill. If you vote Republican, I'll continue to say no to new taxes. I think the Democrats would have caved in 24 hours. That's not, in the middle of the Iraq campaign, that's not a fight they wanted to have with the president. But his advisors were all, frankly, pro-tax increase guys, and they didn't want him to take that kind of bold position.
All right.
Okay.
He not only teaches history, he was part of it. Thank you very much for joining us live.
Trump's America is now out. All right, thanks, Newt.